Well, it's currently 3 a.m. on a Thursday morning over here, which means it's a perfect time for Pokemon Unite to drop some news. Welcome back to the Brick Roast, everyone. Brick Baker here. So yeah, Pokemon Unite Japan has just posted some new information regarding the new mode, detailing all of the newest changes and everything. So it starts on Thursday, September 4th. The map, Blue Sky Ruins, I believe that's just Thea Sky Ruins, will be updated and will appear in the game as Thea Sky Ruins GROUDON. In line with the update, the map used in make matches from Thursday, September 4th will be Thea Sky Ruins GROUDON. The map used before the update will be called Thea Sky Ruins Rayquaza, and will continue to be playable in casual and custom battles. So Rayquaza's not going anywhere. You'll still be able to use them in those custom battles, and it'll just be replaced with the name of the legendary in parentheses, which is a very interesting naming scheme we're kind of going with, because it does also kind of imply Thea Sky Ruins Kyogre, and not even tied to just the third generation, Dialga, Palkia, Giratina. So maybe I'm looking a little bit too far ahead on that one. Anyways, these are the update details that will be in Thea Sky Ruins GROUDON. So Rayquaza has been replaced by GROUDON officially. With 2 minutes remaining in the battle, the Pokemon that appear in the center of the map will change from Rayquaza to GROUDON. When GROUDON is KO'd, all members will gain a small shield and a significant increase in goal scoring speed and damage dealt. Effect will remain until you were KO'd. However, this is the big change. When a Pokemon with this effect is KO'd, the Pokemon will gain the effect. So, even if Groudon is KO'd, there's still a chance of victory if you can KO the opposing Pokemon. We expect this to be a tense battle until the very end. And it's honestly, I was playing some games earlier today, and that's exactly how we just lost the game. Actually, we lost the last Rayquaza, and even though we were so ahead of the team and were able to KO them at the end, there's just not enough pushing pressure after that to actually reliably get points off. And worse yet, if you're like in a solo queue game, right, you're 3 people going bot lane, 2 people going top lane, you guys are splitting up, and now your scoring speed is a lot slower and your pressure is a lot weaker. So this will very greatly help at least increase the amount of viable strategies at this portion of the game. Changes to the timing of wild Pokemon appearances. So we're changing the timing and location of wild Pokemon's appearances in the early stages of the game. While maintaining ease of play, the upper route will feature more intense battles from the beginning, while the lower routes will allow for steady level ups, even while still allowing for a competition for wild Pokemon. We're also making changes so that Pokemon on the upper and lower routes can move around the map more actively, so we're hoping to bring some variety on how the game unfolds in the early stages. The Decidueyes are going to very benefit going bot lane instead of top lane, where we're probably going to see a lot of fights happening up there, a lot of all-rounders going up there, because of how much this game has just kind of shifted over the last couple of years. So changes in the shape of the grass on the map. Very interesting change here. Shape of some grass patches has been changed or removed full out. The area of grass patches across the map has been made smaller than before, resulting in a map with better visibility than the original Thea Sky Ruins. We expect changes to the movement of Pokemon in the central route of the early stages and Pokemon that excel in team battles. I think this is a great change. I think all these are really great changes that the game is offering. Definitely just gonna open up the meta game to evolve even more, and give a lot more viability to some Pokemon who just haven't been able to have a chance to shine in the fullest extent yet. So this is giving them a great opportunity to do so. And in terms of the grass patches, interesting to see kind of what the sizes are going to be, and how they're going to be kind of laid out in going forward. See, I'm honestly really interested. Like, are we going to be able to put 5 Pokemon in one bush, or are there just going to be too many bodies in that bush, and someone's going to be kind of forced outside of the bush? I can't wait to find out how this change really affects the metagame. Okay, moving on, we got Regidrago appears in the center of the map midway throughout the game. Now this is something that kind of was taken from the first to 500 mode, really. Is we had multiple Regis that spawn, even Regidrago specifically, right? Regidrago or Regieleki would spawn move up and down the map at that mid game. So now we got Regidrago and spawning halfway through in the rank game. So after a certain amount of time has passed since the start of the game, Regidrago will appear in the center of the map. If you KO it, either Regidrago, I think this is a translation error, so this will definitely be fixed when the official English patch notes come out eventually. But anyways, it will reappear randomly after a certain amount of time has passed. So it is not guaranteed to be Regidrago. It seems to imply Regidrago might be the first one to spawn every single time. Although we'll see about that. Pokemon that KO'd Regidrago will gain a buff that increases goal scoring speed for a certain amount of time. Interesting that the Pokemon specifically who gets the last hit. So this is not a team buff. This is not like the other buffs, right? Normally you got the top Regilucky, top Rotom. Your team gets it, and anybody, as soon as it crashes that zone, anybody on your team can score. This is strictly last hit. So strategically speaking, if you're an attacker, you don't want this buff. This is something your all-rounder would want, something a speedster would even want, right? Someone who can get the points off and get away. Very interesting mechanic they're introducing here, and it's gonna make getting this buff even more of a game-changing moment where like you can still win and still secure the buff, but if the wrong Pokemon has it, you're not getting much value out of it. So I love this change. I think this is perfect, and I was actually just complaining about not having some mid-game buffs that we can really fight for in the ranked portion of the game. So seeing this change right here, I am to the brim of excitement. I cannot wait to get this in our hands, and only 1 week away at this point. Anyways, let's finish this. So this will add excitement to the mid game where goals are difficult to reach and the game will tend to become stagnant. Yeah, perfect. Next we got the appearance positions of Regilucky, Registeel, Regice, and Regirock all changing. So until now, 3 minutes into the game, all of those Regis, Regilucky in the upper route and all the others in the lower route. With the updated map, Regilucky and one of Registeel, Regice, or Regirock will appear on a random route for each match. So again, like first to 500, when they have Rotom spawning in the middle of a lane as the game goes on, it's going to now be one of the Regis in a ranked game in one of the regular maps that's going to spawn in the game. So this is very interesting how we're almost taking the identity of both first to 500 and, you know, a typical ranked Sky Ruins experience and just kind of mashing it together. A lot of us were kind of wondering if we're going to see first to 500 and ranked, and here it is, right? For the second time onwards, they will appear in the same locations as the first. The key to victory will likely be which route you prioritize and whether your team can flexibly respond to changing situations. Amazing. Say you lose the top lane Regi, but you win that bottom lane Regi, so your top lane gets pushed in and their bottom lane gets pushed in. You know, 3 minutes later when it spawns in again, what do, right? You're gonna have so many decisions. Are we gonna prioritize everybody going to the bot lane? Are we gonna maybe protect the top lane a little bit? You know someone's gonna be putting on pressure, so you're not gonna be kind of stuck farming around and, you know, hoping everybody can come together and do one big push if you guys are really in the position to do so, or, you know, getting everyone together to defend. There's gonna be a lot more separate split gameplay and a lot more independent decisions that are going to be made, and honestly independent decisions that can win a game completely. This is something that definitely is going to benefit better players. All of these changes, again, like let's even going back to getting the last hit. Getting the last hit on the Regi is the only person who gets that. That is something that specifically benefits better players who are able to do so. Currently, you know, if the whole team gets the buff, it's easy to get carried in that sense. But if only one person gets it, you have to perform well. And you have to make sure the right person is able to perform well. So wild. I would never expect Pokemon Unite to get so competitive. Change in score required to destroy a goal. In team battles over Rayquaza, it seems that the mainstream strategy is to prioritize the lower front goal zone over the upper front goal zone because it leads to an advantage. Yeah, the Rayquaza's opening is prioritizing the bottom side rather than the top side, right? It's the top side kind of closed off, and there's so much jungle you have to go through, and anybody could be hiding in any one of those bushes, right? You can have if you're an attacker, you're gonna be just scared that there's a speedster in any bush around you, and you're gonna be traveling only with your defenders. So the shortest distance is that bottom lane zone, and yeah, that's what you see most people is going to be prioritizing. So believe that it's natural that there will be a difference in the influence of the goals, so we've reduced the score required to destroy the upper goal and increased the score required to destroy the lower goal to reflect the magnitude of their influence. Okay, this one's interesting. I'm a bit hesitant on this one, right? Again, as I explained earlier, right? Like, it's more so how the map is just naturally laid out, that there's just gonna be a funneling towards this bot lane compared to this top lane, especially even like after the buff is done. It's just gonna be shortest distance to get to that spot. However, the issue I find with making the tier 2 on the top lane weaker is that we're already increasing the amount of fighting that's gonna be going up on there, right? The whole point, like one point of this map change was to increase fighting in the top side of the map, and we're having an extra lane and everything so Pokemon could fight more. And what I'm a bit worried about, and maybe it's a bit ironic saying how I was just praising the game for making it a lot more competitive, but you can get snowballed. You might be able to get snowballed a little easily. So reducing the score to like break that upper goal zone, again, like if you can get snowballed at that 7-minute mark and then they, you know, break into your tier 1, there's already some problems with some games on how top lane can lose so hard. They can lose both their tier 1 and tier 2 within like 5 minutes. And reducing the limit of that might make it so they could lose that tier 1 even faster. And then that bot lane's gonna kind of rotate towards, and then the top lane's gonna rotate towards that bot lane and just push you guys in even sooner in the game than beforehand, right? So because we're increasing the amount of fighting that's going on in the top lane and reducing the amount of points on the tier 2 goal zone, that might increase the potential of a snowball in that top lane, and could kind of, might have a like chance to really just ruin some of your games even more so. So something I definitely want to watch out for. With all these other changes that they're adding, it will kind of stop some of these snowballs from getting into place and getting out of hand. But we gotta also be careful not to just make the game just completely skill based, because we still do want to have a rather wide door of players still playing. It's not supposed, a lot of players don't want to just get on the game and just sweat their ass off just to play a game of Pokemon Unite. You should be rewarded for being very good at the game, but it should not be a prerequisite to play the game, especially in Pokemon sense. So the last thing we're going to go over is the changes regarding the Unite license for Mewtwo. So starting September, which is only a couple days, Pokemon capable of Mega Evolution are scheduled to join the battle. These Pokemon will have a dedicated Mega Stone required for Mega Evolution set as one of their held items. And I love how they keep on, they're not saying it specifically, but it's good. It's Charizard X. We know that Charizard X is coming to the game. We're not too sure about Charizard Y just yet. We are 100% sure Charizard X will be coming to the game. And it's going to be interesting to see when it drops specifically, because it kind of seems they're implying it might drop in September. And seeing how we already have Empoleon and Palmont slated for September, I don't know, are we going to get another one? I don't know what this means. In line with this, starting Thursday, September 4th, Mewtwo Knight X and Mewtwo Knight Y will be set as one of the held items for Unite License Mewtwo X and Unite License Mewtwo Y, two separate licenses. Please note that the leftmost held item slot will be automatically overwritten with this one at the time of the update, so please be careful when selecting Mewtwo in battle. So just, double check that your items are what you want them as, because one of your items, just like how Zacian has the Rusted Sword, one of your items will always be the Mega Stone, Mewtwo Knight X or Mewtwo Knight Y, depending on which one you pick. Additionally, after the update, Unite License Mewtwo X and Unite License Mewtwo Y will be treated as separate licenses. This means that they can be selected for battles at the same time. Also, even if one is banned in draft mode, the other will still be available. So one thing I find interesting about this is if you do not own the Mewtwo license, what happens? So I imagine right now that if you own the Mewtwo license, you will just automatically obtain both of them. And if you were like, if you were there for the Mewtwo event and got the licenses, you would get both of them. Or if you ended up spending, I believe, 15,000 coins for the licenses, you get both of them. However, if you do not have a Mewtwo license, you may have to actually buy 2 licenses now. So technically this does mean that the roster just got added with 1 more Pokemon. Since this was technically just 1 Pokemon from before. But like Mewtwo is also a very expensive Pokemon to buy. So my recommendation right now, you only have a week, so I don't know how much time you really have to do this, but until we get some more information on if there's going to be like a Mewtwo license event where they give one out for free in lieu of these rework on how Mewtwo is going to be chosen. I don't know if they're going to give out a free one or if they're going to do an event for something, but it might be a really good idea to try and pick up Mewtwo right now, and that will kind of almost act as a 2-for-1. If you wait a week or longer to then pick up that Mewtwo license, you're going to have to pick up 2 of them. And if your aim is to collect all the Pokemon, 30,000 coins is a lot of coins and will take you a couple weeks to get to. So just something to think about in case you do not have that Mewtwo license and are planning on eventually collecting them all. If you do have the coins to spend, again, 15,000 coins, it's not a cheap license. Those are all the changes that we got with this new update that dropped in the middle of the night over here. But we also have, courtesy of Niter77, a little kind of visual on all the changes that will be happening in the newest map update. So we see that we have circled, what has been circled in the red are all the locations where the grass has now been removed. So you see on the outer over here in between the first and second goal zone for the bottom, the grass has been removed both in the jungle and in the lane around in the I was going to say Rayquaza pit, but now the Groudon pit. All the grass is being removed, so there's no more surprise attacks as you see up here, where a lot of teams again would like to do 5 man in 1 bush and kind of get a good surprise attack. That is no longer a thing, and there's going to be a lot more risk playing around this buff. We can also see that at the top here that the grass is gone from the sides, so there's no more hiding in that sides to secure those early game Boltoys. And lastly, right behind the tier 2s, the grass is gone. Much more difficult for the opposing team to ambush the other team. Even though they got a lead, right, they can just kind of hide in that bush and wait for you to run back to lane or super jumper, then 100-0. No longer making that a thing, making it a lot harder for these teams to continuously snowball you. Again, welcome changes. So yeah, so those are all the changes that we are expected to see coming up in just 1 week. I'm again super excited for everything here. I can't wait to play around the Regidrago that spawns in the mid lane, or even some of those veggies that spawn in the lane. I think it's gonna completely evolve the metagame. We're seeing so much more of a focus on individual play right now, and it's something that the game really did need. It's really frustrating losing a game because of some of your teammates, and this is going to let some individual players shine really bright and make them feel rewarded for all the work that they put into a game to inevitably lose in the end because of one thing or another, right? Let me know down in the comments which change you are most excited for. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and until next time guys, stay nasty.